Wow.
Take two.
99 of these things, and I finally screwed up the intro.
Don't screw up next week.
And on the podcast tonight, we've got WC Nix. Hey, Dubber.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. I think I would have gone 80s with that and gone 99 red balloons.
Okay, not familiar with that one.
You're not familiar? Okay, never mind.
Nope. We're the same age. I was a sheltered child.
All right.
I'll have to Google that.
Did you change around your whole look? Because all of a sudden we're getting everything from the garage view.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. Organized shelves behind me. So
tell me this. On lemonade stands these days, does he have Apple Pay?
Yeah, Apple, you've got that Wells Fargo Pay. Yeah, you've got, Square, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, it's so simple. An 8-year-old can do it.
Oh, that's awesome. There you go. Well, real quick, I want to
a while, and he really loves the show, but the problem is that he doesn't really know our affiliations with TCU. Oh. So I thought, you know what, we'll take a little bit of time. We don't have the full panel with us tonight, as you may have. Guests from that introduction. Wes and Shannon are real quick because this is the off season, so why not do it now? And talk a little bit about who we are and our affiliation with TCU. And Ryan, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Okay.
I've had some luck in creative circles. So no, but I graduated TCU, started my own company. We kind of I work with a lot of different arts groups across the country, doing tickets, kind of like a Ticketmaster kind of a thing. And, I basically started teaching full-time at Tarrant County College. Yeah. So I do use the education part of my degree.
That's good.
But yeah, it's nice, but I don't teach music. So I teach graphic design, But
you did music in college, right?
Yeah, I did do music in college, and
we probably saw you out on the field as well, right?
Yeah, I was in the band. Yeah. I was in all the bands. So back when I was in school, it was, it didn't matter how much they threw at you with a scholarship, you had to be in every single possible ensemble. So,
wow.
Marching band. I was in the orchestra because I was the only one who could play the bassoon parts. I wasn't a bassoon player, a saxophone player, but still, I was the only one who played bassoon parts. So I was in the symphony, I was in the concert band, I was in the wind symphony, I was in both jazz bands, I was in combos, and just like it was crazy. Like my schedule at TCU, one semester I counted it up, it was like 21 semester hours.
Oh my gosh!
For a couple years. Paul, I mean, just. All sorts of great stuff. Got to play the opening of Bass Hall. I mean, there's a lot of really, really great memories of TCU. I've done the documentary for the 100-year anniversary of the band. Got to interview a lot of the old directors. Got to know a lot of people throughout the years at TCU, and it's been a lot of fun. So I definitely do it again.
Now, did you come back for the alumni games ever?
I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple years ago, our reunion. When was that? I feel like
when we did I want to say it was for the 10th anniversary reunion. I definitely did it in 2009.
Okay.
I want to say 2014. For 15, I think I did too, but I haven't done it since.
We got to get you back out there.
It's too hot.
True. It's so hot.
It's way too hot down there. Yeah. I mean, I've sat on the sideline covering games for KillerFrogs, and it's just like, what? I'm fine with that because you can move around, but standing right there on the 50-yard line with the sun beating down on you in one of those day games, no, I'm good.
But you were a kid back then, so nothing fazed you then. So
I don't know. Those uniforms aren't like the uniforms they have now. I mean, the uniforms we had back then are like wool.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And multi-layered wool in Texas summer. It was a beating. And for 2 years we were there. You couldn't take the top of it off.
On the turf too. Also, I guess he had announced that a couple days ago.
Who? I'm sorry, you broke up.
Janzik.
Yeah, I think Janzik's coming back as well.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
I hadn't heard.
And think, why in the world would you forego being drafted in the majors to go back to school for one more year? Excuse me. Why wouldn't you? Excuse me. If you're drafted that low, why wouldn't you go back for one more year, get an opportunity to get your draft stock back up? But what they don't understand is that in baseball, those major league teams are banking on the fact that you're not going straight into the show right after you're drafted. Like you're going into the farm, you're going through the ranks, and then you'll eventually get there. So they're betting on a couple of years of work with you. So the longer you wait to enter, the older you get, and that's not good in baseball. On top of that, they don't get full scholarships to baseball, as Coach Lossingel talked to us about a couple weeks ago. Again, you don't get full scholarships. So these guys coming back, they aren't getting a full ride to TCU to finish it out. They're going to be paying to be back on the baseball team, to get their degree. So I mean, it's not as easy a decision as it sounds.
Now, didn't Barzil?
It's gonna be great. Golly, who we lose to the draft? I'm causing a blank. Sorry,
Luka
Baker. Sorry, yes, Luka Baker. We lose him as a bat, so obviously having some of these guys and around is going to be really important. AJ Balta, of course, being a graduate, he's gone as well. So it's going to be nice having that senior leadership around. So baseball is going to be fun to watch, and of course we got the coaches back. So
there's something brewing. It's going to be. I can't wait for baseball. I can always wait for football because it stresses me out, but baseball I always look forward to. I love every moment.
Kind of the ins and outs as far as what you guys see as far as how this transfer rule is going to affect the landscape of football moving forward. And as I understand it, the transfer rule is basically this, or it has been changed to this, that now an athlete, before they had to get permission from their school to even approach another school for a possibility of a transfer. Now, what has to happen is that the player basically just goes to their university and just says, I want to transfer. And the university within 2 days has to put their name on, I guess, a national database. And once your name is on that database, any coach from around the country is now free to be able to contact the student directly. So they're hoping this will add a little bit more transparency to the mix and kind of prevent a lot of schools like we've seen in the past, schools like Alabama and LSU, who when a student comes in and says, I really would like a transfer, and they just go, nope, you're not getting one. And basically just sit on a student, and the student has to end up, in a situation they don't want to be in, and it just becomes a big mess. So the question is, do you guys, A, do you think this transfer rule is smart? And B, how do you think this is going to affect college football?
The graduation rule, that after you graduate, you can transfer and play immediately. Because you know what? That's what the NCAA hangs their hat on. We are an institution that are set up that gives kids college educations, and that's why we don't give them money and blah blah blah, this that. Well, once they fulfill their college education at that school, I think they'll be able to do whatever they want to do. That's just my personal opinion, but I do like the rule. I don't think it'll ever be wide open, because I think then it would be
a circus. They'd have a whole new department at each university for drafting, basically, and stealing players.
And just to clarify, that has not changed.
No.
So players still have to sit a year if they transfer, and graduates can still play immediately if they decide to transfer as well. So,
but it also drove me crazy, Sean, that you transferred your own conference. I understand you don't want you don't want a kid to end up your own conference and stuff like that. But at the same time, well, let's just take a Texas kid. He's got about 8 schools in Texas to choose from, but more than that, really. But Division I schools, and and a lot of us are in the same conference, or either half of them is in one conference or another conference. But all of a sudden, you're telling them, hey, you're gonna have to go maybe to the Midwest or somewhere else, or a total different conference not around here, just because you don't want to see them again.
Yes. I'm fine with that.
And this actually already played out under this new rule. Alabama had let's back up. The SEC has always had a very strict policy when it comes to transferring in conference, and most SEC schools won't allow you to transfer in conference, period. That was part of the reason why the NCAA has kind of put this new rule in place, because a lot of schools were just blocking transfers, period, and just keeping kids on the bench, which is certainly an untenable position to be in. But Alabama just had a student transfer to Tennessee because of this. So, I mean, this bypasses that SEC rule where, you have to get an okay from your school to even transfer in conference. So now you could transfer in conference, because now your transfer is open to any school as long as your name is on that list. And all you have to do to get your name on that list is basically just tell your school, I want to transfer. And they have to, by this new regulation, within 2 business days, put your name on that list.
Wow. So remind me, because do you always, no matter what, have to sit out a year, no matter what?
Well, they could grant you. There's some hardship situations, but
Yeah.
the hard fast rule is if you're transferred, you're sitting out a year.
Okay. And then with Baker Mayfield, what was the deal with that? They changed a whole rule for him because he wasted a year sitting out, so he still wanted a year of eligibility when he was. I mean, that whole thing was a mess as well.
That's just because it's Oklahoma.
I know. I get it.
They can do whatever they want.
Story of our lives, right?
Yeah. Oklahoma, Texas, they can apply for that kind of stuff.
You're talking about Baker?
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing with Baker was he tried to say, which I got to tell you, I kind of halfway agreed with him. He was a non-scholarship athlete.
Oh, that's right.
The whole deal was, I'm a non-scholarship athlete. They're not paying me, so I want to transfer and I want to be able to play immediately.
Yeah.
So, but the NCAA said, no, we're not allowed you to do that. You were a part of their team and blah, blah, blah. And because of that, it doesn't matter if you're on scholarship or not. You've got to sit.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the way that went down, I disagree with. I don't disagree with the sentiment because the one thing about having to sit a year that I do agree with, and I know a lot of people have said this even on the board when they were talking about it this week, was, hey, when they start doing this sit out a year thing for coaches, then I'll be behind it. Well, the difference is employee versus scholarship student. If you're getting money by the school and in the form of a scholarship, when you take that scholarship, it doesn't matter if you're playing football or if you're academic or you're on the freaking field doing band.
Yeah.
There's a contractual obligation. Just like what I was saying earlier when we were kind of introducing ourselves, I was contractually obligated when I took that money from TCU. I had to say yes to be in any ensemble that TCU had that asked me to play because I was getting money from TCU. So in that regard, if you say, yes, I want to go to this school and yes, I am accepting your scholarship money, you have to play by those rules. So I agree in the sentiment. If you're a walk-on player, you're not getting a scholarship, then the school doesn't have the same invested interest in you as they do the other scholarship players. So why should they make you sit out?
Yeah.
If you go to transfer to another school.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you there at all. I mean, I agree because I mean, if he's good enough to play and if you decide, well, I didn't have him on scholarship, I'll milk it a little bit more. And somebody, I won't give them one at the spring, because a lot of times they save they'll save a scholarship here or there, for certain situations. And if they say, if they decide, well, maybe we'll wait till the fall to give him one, or maybe we'll get another year out of him before we give him one. Well, that's, I say, to me, I just say, well, then that's a deal where he decides he wants to go. A non-scholarship guy, I mean, it's hard for me to believe that you're going to make him sit out and stuff when nobody's wanting to give him any restitution. I mean, or help him at all.
Right. Well, yeah, those are the kind of things that really kind of irk me a little bit because, again, if you're not giving him a scholarship, then he should be free to go wherever he wants to go and be able to play. However, on the flip side of that is that, okay, what if schools start to try to poach your players by offering them scholarships?
Yeah.
Then you start getting in that gray area, like you were saying, how much can we really trust the institution? So part of this is because of that.
And I will say that's one of the things that, that I still think it's going to make it interesting, even without having to sit. I mean, even having to sit out a year.
Right.
I think it's going to make it interesting. I mean, I really do, because it's going to make. I mean, it really like you said, it just simplifies the process. I want to transfer. I'm telling you, I want to transfer. 2 days they're on the list, and anybody can contact them.
They're probably gonna, like in the business world, how you have non-competes, right? For a year, you can't go. I had one with my last job where you can't go work for a competitor, trade secrets, blah, blah. So, and then they have the websites like Indeed.com where, you go find your best new employee. They're going to start having all that. I can see it now. There's going to be like a NCAA Indeed.com where coaches can go and look for their next best player, and people apply, and it's all open.
Well, and that's exactly what this database is. This database is basically like just like that. Yeah.
That. Oh my God.
And they're pitching it as better transparency in the system, which I get it, and I'm sure there's going to be some sort of, I don't know, it's going to be publicly visible. It probably will be if they're touting transparency as one of the features, but it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out. I mean, you're going to have news stories galore, and the recruiting sites are going to have a brand new niche now.
Oh yeah, there's a whole new strategy to recruiting and everything now that you see the wide open plane.
Yep,
it'll be fun.
But I don't mind it. I mean, if they're still having to go by the same rules, sit out a year, this, that. I mean, I really do, I agree. It simplifies the process, and it kind of, throws it all out there, and hey, it's kind of like this. The way I look at it, maybe this is totally wrong, but just in my mind, I can't help it. But it's just like like coaches try to say, you can't go here, you can't go there, blah blah blah. You can't. Well, a coach gets another job. Can the players tell him where he can't go? I mean, hey, you can't go here. You can't. Hey, coach, no. You can't go there and take the Tennessee job. It's in the SEC. You recruited me to go to here, and now you're going to get my rival. That's crazy.
I know that goes back to are you committing? Is your commitment to the school when you get that scholarship, which it is, but really the players are committing to that coach. So
I think when you first get there, you are committing to the school, but you're tying this to the coaches.
Oh, absolutely. I understand that.
After you're there a year or so, that's why I don't think it's going to change everything a whole bunch, in the sense that after you're there a year or so, then either you're bought in or you're not. I mean, and that happens today, and it'll happen tomorrow, and it'll happen the next day, and whoever's unhappy. What I just say is going to happen is the biggest thing that's going to happen is some of these schools that have been telling their kids, no, you can't. You're sitting there. I don't care. Well, that's where it's going to change the playing field. Is for and all the coaches are going to have to get used to the, well, I'm over here at Texas and I want to transfer to TCU, or I'm over at TCU and I want to transfer to Oklahoma. I mean, all the coaches are going to have to suck that up. I mean, that's going to be the hard thing. That really is.
You know what else I was just thinking about, and again, there's a difference between scholarship players and non-scholarship. So for this discussion, I'm going to talk about non-scholarship, but in any other sport, elite sport like gymnastics, club sports, soccer, volleyball, you may be a part of that program, but when your coach leaves, that kid usually moves. The family will move, or that kid will move and live with another family just to be coached by that coach. And so it's not crazy to think that these athletes would want to follow their coach wherever he or she goes. If they've committed to a school and the coach leaves, they're obviously going to want to follow them. It's like that with every sport.
Well, you have to think about it like academics. I mean, obviously not every.
I didn't even thinking about that.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is that obviously not every student who goes to school thinks this way, but most kids, when they pick a school based on the field that they're going to study, and whether or not that school is a top school or a top tier school for that particular field. Obviously, we're not talking about the people who get in and are like, I'm just going to be a pre-major for like 3 years and then figure it. It's not what we're talking about.
TCU for my major. Not quite sure.
And I'm not talking about the student athletes in the academic sense, but I'm saying they follow coaches a lot like a lot of academic students will pick a school based on the academics. So if you've got a specific coach and you want to be, playing under that coach because you think that gives you the best edge to make it to the next level, then you want to follow that coach around if they leave. So that's certainly.
But see, I don't think really and truly, I just don't think it changes all that much. I really think the biggest effect we're going to see is on the LSUs, the Alabama, those the big schools that wouldn't let their kids being able to transfer in your own conference and there's no 2-year penalty.
So you think the big schools are going to be affected more than the smaller schools?
Well, yeah, in that sense, yeah, because I just don't think really and truly, all the same rules are there. They're just streamlining it. They're streamlining it so that it's a lot easier, and
it's kind of more fair across the board.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're doing. They're streamlining this, that. I just don't think it's gonna. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe all of a sudden, maybe it makes it so easy to get up and transfer and not have to worry about it. Or maybe I don't know. I mean, I just think it streamlines it more. But I think it takes away the. Hey, if you transfer into Big 12 or if you transfer into SEC, you're sitting out 2 years, or you're not going to transfer there. Or so it takes all that out of play. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, because all of a sudden you're going to look up at the kid and it's well known LSU. I mean, they're not going to sign somebody. They'll tell you, hey, you can transfer, but you're not going to transfer to TCU. I won't sign your release if you. Well, that's gone now. So now that's going to be the most interesting thing, because you're going to look around just like this kid. All of a sudden, he was in Alabama, now he's at Tennessee. Now they're the same. They're in their same conference still, transferring back into the. It's not like they're going somewhere. I mean, they're going somewhere new, but it's still the same teams, the same everything. You'll know the people. So I think that's going to be the most interesting thing about it all.
Yeah, I agree. Well, speaking of level playing fields, let's talk a little bit about the news that came out of the Pac-12 this last week. So apparently the Pac-12 schools are unhappy, I guess would be the best way of saying it. The TV deal, obviously, with the Pac-12 network hasn't really worked out for them. They are now the lowest paid schools as far as the schools that are the top 5 conferences. The Big 12, I think what Gordon Gee made a joke the other day, and he's now he's the bow tie wearing past Ohio State AD that all the TCU fans, the sister of the poor guy. He's now at West Virginia, and he made a comment when this came out. He was like, what? I'm expecting to spend $40 million next year. So, I mean, just kind of give you an idea as far as what the Big 12 schools are paying out. The Pac-12 is still somewhere. I think it was like just under 30 million per school, and they're not going to get to like 32 million for another couple of years. And there's a lot of, I would say, tension in the Big 12 right now. So some of the speculation that's coming out this week is because of the fact that TV deals are locked in now for several years until those get renegotiated. Does the Pac-12 kind of keep it together until they get to that renegotiation, or is the Pac-12, is this kind of like that little spark for yet another conference realignment in the future?
Well, the thing about it is, and the reason why the Big 12 didn't want to do it in the first place is because the shares don't go up and continue to equal out. Mm-hmm. I mean, you pull in another team, then instead of cutting it by the number we have, you cut it by another team.
Right.
You're cutting it right out of you're cutting your own throat, really.
Yeah, I mean, the pie doesn't get bigger, your slice gets smaller.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Until the new deal comes in and that team factors in with you. I just have a hard time believing. I mean, the Big 12 might do it, but if it's the right schools that came knocking, if they did something like that. But I mean, with
what would be the right schools? But who would you like to see as the right schools?
I don't know. I don't know if there is right schools. I don't know. With Arizona State, would that be interesting? To drag them in. If they decided, hey, we're tired of being the sister of the poor to USC and UCLA or whatever. In the California, Oregon. I mean the California schools, Oregon. Stuff like. I don't know. I mean. That might be interesting, but is it worth it? Is it worth? I mean, can we keep them together?
Ryan, you're sighing over there.
I mean, I loved. It was so fun, Sean, when we were like going through. We were lucky and we weren't that we got to go through so many conferences when we were at TCU. Yeah. And I mean, as a cheerleader, it was so fun to go to Utah and UNLV and BYU to see all those beautiful stadiums, even though there were no fans in the stadiums, but it was just cool places to travel. But those the time changes on the West Coast.
Yep.
It's a beating. And I just wish that they would have conferences almost like you do it for business, the West, the North, the South, and East, or North Central. Just break it up geographically. And they'll never do it because it's all about money, but it would be just stay as much in your time zone if at all possible. I feel bad for West Virginia, with them. They have to get out of their time. We're so lucky this year. I think all of our games are in Texas, but 2. I mean, it's so easy for the football. It's easier for the football teams. They're not having to adjust 2-hour time change. Even an hour time change is can be tough, when you're set in a routine. So I would, I would love to see, honestly, like, even though they're the ones that we hate because breaking up the Southwest Conference, but I would love to somehow piece that back together with Nebraska, Arkansas, Missouri, Bryce, Houston, SMU. That would be fun. But
I could do without Rice, SMU, and Houston.
I
know. Maybe even Missouri on the bubble there. I wouldn't mind adding Arkansas and Nebraska back though.
I would like those. Those would be my 2 favorite as well.
Yeah, because going out and playing cool. Arkansas that last year was great.
It was cool.
Yeah, that was
cool
a lot of fun.
Travel.
Yeah, and Nebraska hasn't been the same since they left the Big 12. So. Yeah, and their big thing was the lost odds. They hated dealing with the lost odds, and I think what they found out is that there's the lost odds in every single conference, and you just the grass is not always greener on the other side. So I don't know. It'd be nice to see if that happened, but so then okay, let me modify this question a little bit. Let's say the Pac-12 does implode, and it starts a whole nother carousel of conference realignment. Mm-hmm. If it does happen that way, do you think the Big 12 would be better off trying to poach some of those teams on the Pac-12, or with the instability of some of the other conferences, is it likely to try to go after and entice some of the teams from the other conferences to the Big 12?
Well, I don't know. I mean, golly, it depends on, you kind of got to see how it shakes out, who starts to shake it. I mean, if it does implode, then it's kind of like Russian roulette, that's the way I look at it. I mean, who's gonna flinch first, and then it, like you said, then it could be just a free for all. I think the Big 12's hoping, hey, I just hope everything stays the same for the next few years. Let us make our money just like we're all doing, and then when hopefully. By the time the next TV contract comes around, then they're looking at, hey, what do we want to do, or who do we want to think about bringing? Because I think they'll think about bringing in a couple more teams, actually. I just think college sports, college games, about the money now. Mm-hmm. For the schools, at least. I mean, and so I just think they're going to try to stay put, and until that time comes. I don't know. Shot at that hat though, it might force everybody's hand.
Yeah. I think it would. I think you would. I don't think it would just be a simple thing as the Pac-12 just dissolves and gets absorbed into everybody else. I think it would start a domino effect in a lot of other conferences and a lot of other teams that are, disillusioned with their own deal and looking to, jump on the carousel to see what they can do and make a better deal.
First thing Pac-12 is going to do is, all right, well, we lost it and imploded. Who can we pull in to make our deal better?
Yeah.
Who can we pick off? Right off the bat, who we pick off and who's the first team that gets –
Well, but I don't think the Pac-12 has a lot of legs to stand on. I mean, number one, like Ryan was saying, I mean, you've got the time zone issue.
I agree.
And as we all know, all the eyeballs are in the East. So who's going to hitch their wagon to the Pac-12 and go out west where there's worse TV deals, not a lot of press, and quite honestly, they don't get hardly any sort of traction when it comes to any of the championship series bowl, the playoff polls. I mean, that seems like it's a losing.
I agree with you
there.
The Pac-12's been down a little bit. There's no doubt about that. But USC, UCLA, and all of a sudden, it seems like this conference power rotates. It's kind of like, hey, I think we all agree that if everybody had a vote, it'd probably be Alabama's probably the best team year in, year out, or has a chance to be the best team. They got, but now, all I keep hearing now on the radios is now all of a sudden the Big Ten, they're the conference now. They've taken over as top to bottom. I don't know if I agree with that, but so who says in 3 or 4 more years, all of a sudden, I can remember when USC and UCLA and all them teams were just studly because they were coming to Texas and getting all our players. So, and when that was happening, you'd think, why wouldn't you want to be in California or in the Pac-12, played out in there? I mean, that was and there for a while, that was the conference. So they all rotate around. I mean, that's going to be something that happens all the time. Big 12, we're up, we're down, we're sideways, we're up, we're down. So I mean, I don't know. I think it could happen. I think the first thing the Pac-12 did, if USC came knocking on your door and they offered you a certain amount of money,
I
mean, I'm just telling you, things could happen. I promise you things that that the other conferences might not, the conference you're in that don't do it right now, I mean, I don't know, man. If it happens, I'm just hoping it don't happen for a while. I just want to stay stable for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think when it happens again, it's going to be a big deal.
Definitely.
I do. I think when it happens again, there's going to be a lot of movement again. And, or there's going to be some big team movement.
And it'll probably happen when Gary retires, and we not only have to fight for a new coach, but also to get in another good conference. Yeah. It's gonna be
but you know what? The guy to talk about this a little bit more is next week. And Ryan, do you want to plug who we have for our guest for number 100?
I would love to. We are so excited to have our new ADJD Jeremiah on for our 100th KillerFrogs hour. We'll be actually on site with him. We'll be in his office interviewing him and just learning a little bit more about Jeremiah personally, his family, and then how he got to TCU and what some of his plans are. We'll see what we can get out of him.
Yeah, now that podcast unfortunately is going to be a pre-recorded podcast, so I know everybody wants to see us live, and we will do a live show here on YouTube next Monday for all of you who like to watch us live. But we'll be pre-recording that interview with our new athletic director. But we'll definitely bring up this topic as well and see where he sees where the landscape is going. So that'll be fun. So with that, any other topics you guys want to talk about tonight? I think we've pretty much covered everything. It is the off season.
It is, and the World Series going on right now, so it's all on my calendar because I blocked it all out and I keep seeing it.
Delete it.
Torture every day. I needed to delete it, but I feel like I jinxed
I didn't
myself.
check. Did Texas end up losing that game, or did they end up winning?
They got today?
Yeah.
They got 11. They got beat 11-5.
Okay.
Now, Tech won, right?
Tech won, yeah.
They beat Florida.
Yeah, good. Number 1 seed too. Yeah.
They beat the number 1 seed. They put the number 1 seed. And you know what? I've always said this. I'm pulling for Tech.
Absolutely.
I hope they win it.
I am too, because the only team that was able to have any success against them was us.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah, we kind of have their number in baseball. I don't know. Them and the Aggies. We seem to any of those teams in red. Yeah.
Well,
I'd love for them to win the whole thing.
I hope it comes down to a Big 12 team.
Me too.
I do too.
I really do. I mean, I've tried to support the conference, and sometimes it's hard, but at the same time, if you want your conference to be noticed and you want your conference to be talked about being one of the tops, then when it's not your team, even though it's not your team, you need to support your conference. And so,
yeah. Well, having a couple of teams there in Omaha certainly doesn't hurt.
Yep.
And the Big 12 is represented in Omaha in large numbers every single year. At least it has been the last 5 years. So It's great to have Texas Tech there and to see what they're able to do. But I agree with you. As much as I hate the Red Raiders, I'd like for them to win the whole thing just because it's good for the conference. So
that's right.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
I noticed neither one of us said anything about Texas winning.
No.
Oh my gosh, it's still.
And that's why I said I hope somebody from the Big 12. I couldn't get it out of my mouth totally. But
No, you can't go that far. It's so bittersweet. Yeah, I tell you what,
just brushed right around that.
It is still hard. I'm so glad we have Jeremiah. But I'm telling you, I think there should be a rule where your AD cannot transfer within the conference. Because I say this all the time. It's like seeing your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend out at a bar the first time with a new person, and you're just like, Every time I see him on Twitter, I'm like, why are you wearing orange? It's just like a breakup all over again,
Yeah. Oh, I'm right there with you.
I'm over it. We kept Slosh, so in my opinion, Donati's already earned his stripes, so we're good there.
He has. We got the beer.
He brought beer.
Exactly.
I mean, what else is there to say?
We've been asking for that for years.
Yeah, we have. And we got the same argument time and time again from Del Conte. But he leaves, we get beer. I'm not saying there's a correlation, but yeah. Anyway,
exactly.
We'll definitely be talking about that and the East Side expansion and a lot of other things. So, but if you do have a question for our athletic director, make sure you send them to podcast@killerfrogs.com. That's podcast@killerfrogs.com. And we do read all those, and we'll be more than happy to forward the question on to the athletic director for that interview next week. And with that, I think we've come to the end of this episode. Thanks for everybody sticking with us. You can go ahead and reach us on Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher, pretty much everywhere podcasts are found. We're also on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter @killer_frogs. You can also search for Killer Frogs on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, you can go to killerfrogs.com, sign up for a free account, and also check out frogswire.com for all the latest TCU news. And with that, we come to the end of the podcast. It's the time where we all get our frogs up and we get to say,
Go Frogs!
Go Frogs!
Well, that's good.
One more to go. 100. Well, maybe not one more to go. But
Never done.
I'm just glad we made it 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without Wes on, it's
a little chatterbox.
I'm joking, Wes. I know you will.
Sweet Wes.